Wow, England, well done. You might have been backed to beat New Zealand, but how have you done it? They've almost returned the favour they got from New Zealand at the Cape Town a year ago. It's as convincing a limited overs performance that you'll see from a side. This is ESPNcricinfo Match Day. It's England's match day, and Ian Chappell, Sanjay Manjrekar and Mahela Jayawardena will talk about it. Mahela, let's start with you, a man who was with this team.
Can we actually all congratulate Mahela Jayawardena on a job well done with the England team?
There you go.
Congratulations, well done.
I don't see a big applause from you, Chappelli, but that's all right. You're not one of those NCC members.
Only the semi-final, mate. Why do we get to the final? Eh?
All right, Mahela, on a serious note, that must be mighty satisfying. Having worked with this team to see such a clinical performance against a good team at a big stage. First thoughts?
Yeah, definitely in a semi-final. The way they batted, very impressive. They had a very aggressive start. They took control of the situation from ball one, basically. If they lost early wickets, would have been a tricky chase. But the way they went about, obviously they had few hiccups in the middle when they lost 2 wickets, but Josh Butler came in and settled things. So a clinical performance, and the momentum will be with them now, because I think every game they've improved as a team from where they've started. So it's a good way to go into a final.
Quick recap, if you missed the action, if you didn't catch all of it, this is what went down at the Firozshah Kotla, and England won an important toss, you'd think, chose to bowl first, restricted New Zealand to 153. Thereafter, Colin Munro did get some runs early on. Ben Stokes and Chris Jordan excellent with the ball. Moeen Ali with the breakthrough at the right time, and in response, what an innings from Jason Roy. Chappelli, as we look back at this game, what Mahela says stands out. Let me go back to it actually. Is this as convincing an English performance as you've seen in recent times?
Yeah, they've been building to this, and as Mahela said, they got better with each performance, and to turn it around the way they have from the 2000 or the 2015 World Cup and the terrible performance there, to now play the way they are playing, it's not an easy thing to do. But they've done it very, very quickly, really, and I guess the influx of younger players and players who seem to have a lot of confidence, a lot of flair, it's very un-English, but they've done it well.
I saw a tweet from an English journalist saying that was probably the best thing that happened to English cricket, getting knocked out before the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Then it started from there. You had to start from scratch. Is that now a comment that you can understand?
Yeah, well, I mean, in life, in cricket, in a lot of things, you've got to hit the bottom before you start heading back up again. And I guess that was England's bottom point. They bottomed out at the 2015 World Cup, and from there on everything has been up and up. And sometimes what happens when you have a shocker like they had at the 2015 World Cup, you get rid of some dead wood, some guys that you sort of, can they or can't they? You're in two minds. It's so bad you think, right, let's move on and try a new lot. And so I think it was probably the bottom point.
Sanjay?
I thought if you look at the overall performance, their batting was impressive. The way they chased down the target was extremely convincing. Bowling, I thought New Zealand batting actually helped England's bowling look good. So I was really impressed with the way they chased down the target today.
Yeah, we need to look at how this game developed, because New Zealand, you think, who've been scoring 140s and defending it, everyone's been thinking it's been below par. Today they got 153. And if we look at the innings progression, gentlemen, Sanjay, I'll probably bring you on this. Overs 17, 18, 19, 20. Let's draw attention directly there. New Zealand about 130, 140 there, about 5 down. They then lose 3 wickets very quickly in those 2 overs. Is that where the game's changed, where they've just got 20 odd in the last 4?
Yeah, when you're looking at the last few overs, you're looking at batsmen who've just come in and trying to hit the ball. You had 2 batsmen, Corey Anderson, Luke Ronchi, at a crucial stage of the innings, getting out to full tosses. And that was a big moment in the game when you want to accelerate. I thought that also helped, England's cause.
Is that a good ball to bowl, the low full toss? It seems like
unexpected ball to bowl, actually, because batsmen are not expecting it.
Probably, yeah. I mean, like you're looking at Yorkers, slow balls, bounces, and all of a sudden you get a full toss and you're thinking, I'm not prepared to hit this. So they, like Sanjay said, I think the scores were quite even, 133 for 3 and 132 for 3 at the 16 over mark, and that's when the launching pad starts, and wickets in hand. They lost 2 wickets in 2 balls, and the momentum shifted. Credit to the England bowlers. After that, they bowled some really good Yorkers and kept them quiet. And then England, when they're chasing, with the knowing that they only have 20 odd runs to chase in that last 4 overs, they could do anything they want.
How they
interesting?
Please, yeah.
Interesting comment from Graham Pollock, former champion South African batsman. I was watching a game with him in Calcutta, and a guy got out to a full toss, and he just turned around and he said, I wonder if guys practice hitting full tosses in the nets. He said, you should. He said, I used to practice hitting them because they're not an easy thing to hit. It would be interesting, and I guess Mahala's been around. Do guys practice trying to hit full tosses?
Not really. I don't think so. I think unless someone bowls you full toss and then you hit it, I don't think it's purposefully done. Probably a good point, I guess.
Is it just what Kane Williamson said? Sometimes those shots go out, and today they didn't. It's just one of those things. No need to overanalyze.
Yes, that's why I thought maybe the bowling wasn't very impressive, but the way they got rid of Colin Munro was very good to watch. Liam Plunkett bowling the ball wide, eventually getting caught at third man. So that was good to watch. But apart from that, New Zealand batting, Munro got, 40 odd, Kane Williamson 30, Corey Anderson 20. So that one defining innings just didn't come together for New Zealand. That just made England's job easier, I thought, in the chase.
If I just stick to that 17th over, that 18th over, they lost a couple of wickets. As a team who's played a lot of T20 cricket, Mahela, and you've been in plenty of them, does it change the game entirely? Just those 1 or 2 overs at times, does momentum shift to the point which the match could very well be decided?
In a T20 game, it does, because you don't have time to get back into a game once that happens. It's a very short format. So as a team, if you make too many mistakes in a T20 game, you cannot come back. In a 50-over game, you have time to come back into a game. A partnership or a good spell might get you back. But in a T20 game, if you make too many mistakes, it's very hard for you to get back into the game, and that's what happened.
Especially if you make them late in the innings like that, and then you go into your dugout. Oh, gee, we could have done better than that. Other side goes into their dugout. Oh, we got off light there. Yeah. So it is momentum a big, shift. Big shift. Yeah.
Tactical mistake as well. Jason Roy got a wonderful 50. The first ball that he faced from Ish Sodhi was when he was batting on 49.
Yeah, and that's maybe a point we need to analyse further now. Let's look at the second innings. Let's take this game backwards as it came. And we look at how the English got their runs. In 78 of 44, there's the game gone. That's half the runs in a chase of 154. Sanjay, take us through that point. He got Corey Anderson first over, as you'll see from the New Zealand bowling card. Corey Anderson first over, followed by Adam Milne, Mitch McClenaghan. I think Ish Sodhi came on the 5th or 6th over in England, but already going
I think
at 11.
He bowled the 5th over, the spinner. Santner bowled the 5th over, I think.
Yeah.
And Sodhi came much late. I'm just imagining a Dhoni playing against England on a pitch like this. He would have bowled the spinner the 2nd over. I mean, when you're starting with Corey Anderson, might as well start with the spinner and have somebody like a Milne who is quick, giving you the other option. Take the pace off against England as much as possible. And when you have informed spinners, bowl them as early as possible, especially against England. Okay, there are 3 or 4 things to talk about. Let's talk about Jason Roy now, because that innings was something special. Whoever bowled to him, he had managed to hit the spinners too. I'm at the matchday monitor, and I'm going to get into depth on how Jason Roy has got his runs. Let's see where he got them, how he got them. He, of course, was helped in a large degree with the fact that he got pace. And Mahela, that was crucial. Someone like Jason Roy, Alex Hales, they liked the ball coming onto the bat, and he got a lot of that early on.
Yeah, I think their mindset was to get a good start because they were chasing a relatively low score. It's important that you get to a fast start. So they got some balls which they love cutting and pulling. And then once you get into that rhythm, they were going to take few extra chances, and which they did, to credit. And I agree with Sanjay, because the guys, the way they've played, I mean, even when Santner came to bowl to them, he was already on 40 runs or something. So he had already got a start. So it's a bit too late. I think having praised New Zealand throughout this tournament being tactically savvy, I think they got one thing wrong here.
And look at those blue streaks that you see behind square on the offside. Sure. That is a bowler giving pace to the batsman. There could have been one reverse sweep there, but generally they got exactly what they wanted.
4 of them in the same over by Corey Anderson without a third man in the first over.
One was an unfortunate delivery. I mean, where I think it was almost an inside edge.
Yeah, sure. Chipali, just looking at the areas that he gets his runs in, behind square on the offside and plenty through mid-wicket, sign of a power player?
Yeah, he's very much a power player, strongly built guy, thumps the ball hard. And I could see, I don't know if you, Sanj, could see it, but I could see a lot of similarities with the way Mahela plays. Didn't you see that?
Yes, I think, it's rubbing off, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Mahela, you have the right to respond.
Yes, I spoke very little to Jason about his game because I didn't have much to contribute.
Ian Chappell is saying that purely because there's nothing, common between Mahela and Jason Roy. He's just being cheeky. It's a little late in the night. That's what he does.
When you're on Twitter, as long as you need to spell out sarcasm sometimes.
Yes, yes. Like we put a smiley after being, funny about a tweet.
More you than me, Sanjay. But yeah, let's look at some numbers now and see where Jason Roy's innings stands against others in World T20 knockouts. And you'd see that it's only second to Tilakratne Dilshan, who got 96 in the 2009 edition. So big innings from Jason Roy playing in his first World T20. I'll get your attention back here, and I think there's a point that you made, Mahila, on the use of spin, and I think Sanjay made it too. The smartness of New Zealand throughout the tournament, but not today. If you look at just how he's done against individuals, Corey Anderson hit him for 16 of the first over, like the pace on the ball, as he did against Adam Milne too. What have they missed out on? Did Kane Williamson miss a trick against Roy early on?
Yeah, I think having seen the two England openers struggle against left-arm spin, against Sri Lanka and against Afghanistan, maybe not on similar wicket, probably the wicket was coming on a little bit, but still, the two quick bowlers went for runs. I mean, the option is to take pace off. But then he came back and bowled the third over as well, which went for runs, and which Alex Hales managed to get a bit of rhythm going as well. So I think, given the fact that they were only defending 150, the importance was that make sure you don't give too many runs in the first 5-6 overs, get a couple of wickets, put England under pressure. The England game plan was get these two guys, give them the freedom, get as many as you can in the first 6 overs so that you don't put pressure in the middle order, and they had enough batting depth to get to the chase. So these were the two game plans, and I think, New Zealand probably would have taken a bit of pace off and then got few wickets.
To put it out there for you, put things in perspective, let's look at the usage of spin in this game. And you'll see New Zealand's use in this semi-final, overs 1 to 6, just the ones over to spin. I think
that was, I think, Santner coming
in the fifth over. And then over 7 to 10. And by that time, England were already going at 12 or 11.5 on over. Chapali, that's where the game's gone already, at 150 when you've led the opposition off.
Yeah, when you're chasing a moderate total, you want to get away to a fast start, because the quicker you can take the opposition out of the game and make them feel like they haven't got much chance of winning, you also relax your own dugout a bit. It really helps if you can get away to that fast start. And that was a perfect start for England. And as the guys have been saying, if you've got a plan and it's not working, we'll change it. If you've got a good plan and it's working, stick with it. But that was probably time to change the plan a bit earlier than what New Zealand did.
There you go. That's many reasons on why New Zealand have losses. We'll continue dissecting. If we look back at the first innings, it now makes for an interesting build-up talk to the second semi-final too. Plenty more coming up here on ESPNcricinfo Match Day. Stay with us. Good to have you back here on ESPNcricinfo Match Day. We're analysing England's comprehensive semi-final win over New Zealand. It's time to focus our attention to the first innings now. See what just happened in an odd sort of New Zealand innings, or are there similarities to other innings that they've played in the tournament? And they got 153. Colin Munro finally came good in this tournament. He's been due a score, but there wasn't much to talk about around him. We also look at of course, we already spoken of the mini collapse towards the end with Taylor, Ronke and Corey Anderson all falling in quick succession. We look at England's bowling card, and they did a job. They only needed 2 overs of Moeen Ali, but he picked up an important wicket of Kane Williamson, and towards the end, the likes of Chris Jordan and Ben Stokes were pretty good in over 16 to 20. Chapali, just looking at that New Zealand batting card, somehow it just suggests that they didn't take off. Is that a fair assessment, that the innings didn't really get the impetus it needed at any point?
Yeah, and I mean, you could trace it back to the fact that they had played on some wickets where, in low-scoring matches, and everybody had to really battle for their runs. So they hadn't had an innings where guys were out there free-flowing shots everywhere, and players getting their confidence up. So that it could have been the result of their previous matches, that they weren't into that groove of really feeling, you keep hearing the story about it looks like a football. Well, it never does. Sometimes it looks like a split pea, I can assure you of that, but it never gets any bigger than a cricket ball. But there's a confidence thing there when you are hitting the ball in the middle and you've done it a few times, it just sort of flows on. If you haven't got into that momentum, it's not, you can't just sort of flick a switch and go into that mode.
Okay, let's go back and forth. Let's talk a little about England's bowlers. Now I'll move again to the matchday monitor, and we'll see how Chris Jordan and Ben Stokes towards the end made that difference. Our panel certainly thinks that those 2 overs could very well have changed the game, and we're going to look at England's bowlers. Let's perhaps start with Chris Jordan. And Mahila, from a big strong man, gets wickets with the new ball too. We're looking at him, his areas in this game. We're looking at the left-handers that he bowled to. And if you change that to the right-handers, used the wide sort of Yorker well and banged it in at a decentish sort of length. What did you make of Jordan's performance on
I
this
think
pitch?
that good length was purely the first few overs when he bowled up front. I think, towards the latter part, I think he was trying all Yorkers. He was keeping it very simple. Probably the direction of the Yorkers was the only thing that he was changing. Wide Yorkers, straight Yorkers. But I think they had a very simple game plan. Make sure that, you don't bowl anything length. So that's probably why they gave away a few full tosses as well and got a bit of credit for that.
Let's look at Ben Stokes, and one thing that you won't see in Ben Stokes are 2 wickets of a full toss that he managed to take, which would be somewhere over here. But he did bowl it well to both left-handers and right-handers, 14 of 14 against the left-handers, going at just a run or ball. Sanjay, the use of the full toss effectively, but he did bowl a good length towards the end too, Ben Stokes.
Yes, I think they bowled well, but I go back again to that comment that I made earlier, that their job was made easier. They were never really under pressure. Against Sri Lanka, Ben Stokes bowled superbly because he was under pressure. But tonight, I don't think, there was any moment where needed Ben Stokes to really come up with a good performance under pressure. It was a much easier sort of outing for most of the English bowlers tonight, thanks to New Zealand's batting.
That we're talking about Stokes and Jordan with the ball, maybe Moeen Ali Chappelli. We spoke even while we were watching the game. These are serious all-round cricketers. They're not bits and pieces. Makes a difference to this balance of a squad?
Makes a huge difference, yeah. I don't really like the bits and pieces idea. I think, if you haven't got all-rounders like England have got, serious all-rounders, then I think you're better off to play specialists. And obviously, you're going to find an all-rounder somewhere. But bits and pieces players, to me, they're just filling in spots. England have got guys who are, and I include Butler in that as a wicket-keeping all-rounder. They've got guys who certainly, you now take it for granted that the fielding will be pretty reasonable. Yep. The other two skills, England have got some players there who are pretty good at both.
Okay, let's continue talking about this New Zealand innings. Now let's just show you some numbers, because in spite of what we've said, they were 89 with outlaw, 89 for 1 after about 8 overs. And we're looking at their innings progression. That's how it went. 51 of the first 6. You take that 7 to 10 as well. Not bad when Munro was getting the runs. And then it just sort of gave away from overs 11 to 20. Let's look at some more numbers. Sanjay, I'll bring you in on this. Teams in the World T20 2016, overs 7 to 15. Those middle overs, how they've performed. And New Zealand with 13 wickets lost and a high balls per boundary percentage as well, and a run rate of just 6.5. Has this been their struggle consistently through the tournament now? We have to factor the pitches.
I'm not so sure, but I'm a strong believer that in T20 cricket, if a batsman is in, he's got to be full of self-confidence, because you've got to go in there and start dominating. It's not easy when your confidence is down, and that's why I thought Yuvraj Singh was a bit of a gamble for India, because his self-confidence was never up. This is when people like Martin Guptill have to come to the party. He got 80 against Pakistan? No.
Yeah, it was against
Pakistan.
What about
and
Ross
runs
Taylor?
the whole season as well. I can understand Ross Taylor has not been so much amongst the runs in the T20, but Guptill has been the man in form. This is the time to show it. So if you've got an 80, that form has to continue. I look at Virat Kohli, how he's carried the form and held the team through, especially in T20 cricket. You've got to help the guys who are slightly down on confidence, who will take a few balls to get their confidence up. So disappointed with Guptill having failed this night tonight.
All right, well, there you go. It's quite the analysis when it comes to New Zealand's innings. There are many questions that they have to ask. They've slipped up after being perfect in the group stages. They've slipped up at the wrong time. Right, we now need to talk about the games to come in India, West Indies. How will they be looking at it after today's result? What are the expectations of the panel? All that on the remainder of the show. Stay with us here on ESPNcricinfo Match. Just a little bit more to talk about now. There are only 2 games left in the tournament, and we have to focus our attention on semi-final number 2. The 2 most experienced T20 sides go out there. India against the West Indies. There's a lot of T20 experience in domestic leagues around the world from these 2 teams. It's not too far from us at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. Let's get the panel's thoughts on it. Sanjay, you're going to be off to that game tomorrow. Thoughts on the eve of it? India, after that win against Australia, favourites?
Actually, India played to their potential for the first time in the Super 10. They were lucky that Virat Kohli bailed them out on many occasions, but the last win against Australia would have them, really feeling very confident. India clearly the favourites. West Indians have a lot of experience playing in Indian condition because a lot of them play in the IPL. The only thing that might go against India is the size of the ground. You know, because if Chris Gayle gets going, then you could have maybe 5 fielders in the deep on the boundary, but it's of no use because he's going in the second tier. India have most bases covered. And the West Indies that I saw against South Africa when they won and against Afghanistan when they lost, they showed some vulnerability as a team, especially in the batting department. So that augurs well for India.
Chapali, the big question for India is Yuvraj Singh is now ruled out of the tournament. You've seen a bit of Manish Pandey when he toured with the Indian team in the ODIs, and there's Ajinkya Rahane you've seen enough of. Who fits in your 11 straight away?
Well, they're both. It's a good choice to have. I said before that if Yuvraj was fit, that I'd be dropping Raina and playing one of them. You know, I really like Rahane. On what I've seen of him, I'd probably go his way. In fact, I'd be really tempted. I know India are not going to make a lot of changes in a big match like this, but I'd be tempted to play both of them and leave Raina out.
It's an interesting one. We've got to pick and choose in a big game. Experience of Rahane or the guy you've just picked in the middle order, Mahela, for you?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing, but I believe I will go with Rahane as well because few options. I think if what has happened with India leading up to this tournament is losing 2 early wickets, so if that situation arises, maybe Rahane to bat at 4 and then leave the big hitters for the last 8 overs or so, without exposing Raina in that first 6, 7, 8 overs. With Pandey, maybe you could do the same as well, but Rahane has been with the team. He probably would have practiced with the team and game plan, everything.
Yeah, those are their numbers, and I don't know how much you've seen of Manish Pandey. I think you've seen enough of Manish Pandey, Mahela, as well. We're looking at their T20 numbers, and Rahane is striking at 170, Manish Pandey 115. It's I don't know how much you can read into it.
Not much of a difference, is it? I think, given the fact that Rahane has been with the team and he's been their first choice, and he's a very versatile cricketer. He could bat anywhere in that lineup. So, and Manish could do the same, but him being in that team and that group for a while now, I think, I prefer to go with him.
Where does the West Indian vulnerability lie, Chapali, very quickly? They're a dangerous team.
They're a very dangerous team. They're boundary hitters. They'll hit a lot of sixes, but if you can keep them inside the boundary, they're not really good at picking up singles. A lot of dot balls there. So if India can keep the ball inside the boundary rope, which is a hard thing to do, but that would be part of the plan.
Mahela, the West Indies. So we're seeing some thoughts on Twitter, and there are people having different opinions. Someone saying Raina should be batting lower. You change with MS Dhoni, bring him higher, maybe Jadeja higher. Maybe I'll bring Sanjay in quickly here. We're not going to make
much
change
is going
too
to change.
much.
Dhoni doesn't like to make changes, and he's made a very strong case for Ajinkya Rahane. But if Yuvraj is going to be batting at number 5, was your number 5 and 6. So if you've got a replacement for him, it can't be Ajinkya Rahane batting at number 5 or 6 for me. So it's got to be Manish Pandey. There's
no case for a Pawan Negi or a left arm against all those right-handers.
There is a case. There is a definite case, but because the Indian top order hasn't fired, and you don't know what even Jadeja hasn't had a hit as well. So for you to reduce your batting strength and strengthen your bowling, and yes, Negi can bat as well, but it's tough.
All right, gentlemen,
top order may not
there.
fail here at the Wankhede Stadium purely because the ball just comes onto the bat nicely.
And you will catch that tomorrow. Thank you very much, Sanjay Manjrekar, Ian Chappell, Mahela Jayawardena. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure having your company. England are through the finals. Let's see who joins them. Join us for that tomorrow. Until then, good night.